Hey friends, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks with Darcie, a place where we become unstuck from trauma and grounded in our healing. I'm your host, Darcie, and I'm a proud multi-graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. Life has a way of teaching us lessons we never asked for, but here we take those lessons and turn them into healing, strength, and self-leadership. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Just a quick reminder. This podcast shares personal stories and lived experiences. It's not therapy. It's not counseling or legal advice. If you need professional help, please reach out to a licensed provider. Hey, School of Hard Knocks. Welcome back. Class is in session. I am here with my In Blooming Rebuild series, and I am being joined by Samantha Mandells. Samantha, welcome to the School of Hard Knocks. So happy to have you here today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
I am so glad. Well, School of Hard Knocks, let me introduce you to Samantha. So Samantha has a story that she is going to lead us all the way through to current day, but some of her things that she's endured in her past, in her lifetime, was being a high school mom, being in a couple of not so great relationships. Now she's happily married and in a healthy relationship, which is so wonderful. But one of her biggest things that she's had 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with having a functional neurological disorder, which has led her into being a rapid transformation therapist, as well as a podcast host. So I'm really excited to hear about where you were to get to where you are now. I also was pregnant at 17 years old. And unfortunately for me, I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy. So for me, it didn't work out. But tell me a little bit about that and lead me up to current day.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot.
I love it. Tell me all of it.
Well, I'm so sorry that you went through that in high school. I mean, it's hard enough to deal with the pressure and like the eyes that you get from being pregnant in high school, and I can't imagine going through that and then for what, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry that that was your experience.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it was scary. I mean, I actually was in a foster home on top of it at the time. So
Oh,
I didn't even have like any type of support. I will say, I chose to put myself in a foster home. I wasn't put there because I was a bad kid. I was put there because I had parents that weren't always awesome and ended up separating, and then things just got worse. And so I asked to go into a foster home, and I'll never forget my caseworker was like, "What? I've never had a kid ask to go into a foster home. Like,
right.
what's going on?" And I told her I wanted a chance at life. I am about to be 18 years old in about a year, and I don't know what to do. How do you get an apartment? How do you like finish school, work a job, pay bills, set? How do you get an electric bill? Like, how does all
What
of
a
that work?
decision.
Yeah, like I did not know any of that. So my first foster home was not good, and that's where I ended up having the ectopic pregnancy. And I woke up at 17 years old, hooked up to a bunch of machines with nobody around me, just
Mm.
left, just left. And I'll never forget that I tried to just sit up and get out of bed to go to the bathroom, not realizing I just had the surgery done, had no muscle tone. They had to cut me real low to go inside, take the baby out, going through my belly button with a camera, do this whole entire thing
Did you know you were
because
pregnant at that?
I knew I had just found out like about a month and a half before. So I was almost 2 months pregnant when my fallopian tube was about to rupture. I mean, I was like almost going to die. It was pretty scary. So when you wake up half drugged up and then no one's there, I try to stand up and bam, hit the floor, take the IV thing with me because I couldn't stand. It was actually really quite scary. But then I went to a second foster home and they were amazing, but that was weird for me because I wasn't used to good people. So I emancipated myself. So I actually was living on my own paying bills before I was old enough to vote.
Wow.
So yeah, my childhood is everybody at the School of Hard Knocks knows a lot about it. They're like, I cannot believe this woman who seems so has gone through some really hard stuff in her life.
Yeah. No wonder you started this.
Yeah, I mean, School of Hard Knocks. Hi, multi-graduate. Nice to meet you.
It all is making sense.
It is all making sense. Well, back to you, Samantha.
Okay, so we're all guilty of really just putting the lens on someone else. Like
Yes.
it's really easy to be able to say, "Well, I didn't go through that, so it's not that bad," right?
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, I got pregnant in high school. My parents, I always wanted them to get a divorce. And at this time, they were separated. And so that was a good step. I had a long-term boyfriend all through high school, and I ended up getting pregnant my junior year. I had him my senior year, and I remember I never got in trouble in school. And then all of a sudden, like, my belly starts growing and body starts changing. And I am getting sent to the office for dress code almost every day. If I'm walking into my classroom as the bell is ringing, like almost everyone else, I'm getting sent to the office for tardies. I had a math teacher called me over to his desk after class was dismissed and told me that he does not approve of me being here, but if I actually graduate, then he'll congratulate me.
Wow. Thanks for the support.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I mean, what do you think the reasoning was for? I mean, because you were pregnant? I mean, it's not like you're the first young girl in history, right?
Yeah, I think it's because the school it's like one of the top schools in Georgia. At least it was at the time. It's not really anymore. But so I think that they just had an image that they were trying to uphold, and I did not fit into that image. But I stuck through it, and I ended up graduating with actually higher grades than I ever had in high school by the end of it.
Nice.
Yeah, that worked out for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, did you stay with you have your first child was a son?
Yeah, he's 14
Did,
now.
did you stay with his dad for a little while, or how did that relationship work?
We were together for 5 years total. So after he was born, we were together for like 2 years, maybe. And that was not a great situation. And he ended up leaving our life for a couple of years. And he's back in our life now and is a better human than where we started. So that's a plus.
That is a plus, and it's so cool when we talk about these kind of things because my husband, it's so funny because he has three children by three women. And I never judged him for anything like that, or like we're humans and things happen. His two oldest children are only 8 months apart.
Wow.
So he did not know that his ex that had broke up with him, I mean, they were young at this time, like 21, 22. He had no idea that she was pregnant. And she hid the pregnancy for him until his son was 8 months old.
Holy smokes.
So he had already moved on. He was already engaged to somebody else. He was already, she was already pregnant. And all of a sudden, here, she decided that she wanted child support. So now he's getting this, you have a child. And he's like, I forgot about you. I didn't even, what do you mean? I have a child? Like, what are you talking about? And he had already moved on with my husband and I don't have biological children together. After his third one, his mother was so gracious to talk him into having a vasectomy 8 months before we met. So
Oh,
I was never fortunate enough to actually have, but his daughter is my daughter. She was 4 years old when we met. I taught her how to tie her shoes. I've gone through her whole entire life. She's been calling me mom since she was 10 years old. But it's so crazy, the dynamics of the way that people judge people for things, the way that people always have an opinion about somebody else's life and what it is that they're doing, and everybody has their own
oh, and random
garbage.
people. Like I have
Yes.
this very specific memory of my oldest when he was 2 going we were walking into a grocery store and I remember this old lady like looking me up and down and she goes, I guess God loves us all and walks away and I was like, what is that supposed to mean?
Ma'am. Oh, those judgy Christians are always so interesting to me.
It's what I get for living in the South.
That's so interesting to me though, because that's so inappropriate. I mean, man, I just, I am a very close follower of God. Like God has brought me through the hardest things in my entire life. We talked a little bit before this recording started. I told Samantha that, what happened to my dad. Everybody here knows that because I talk about my dad a lot. But my dad passed away 7 months ago in our home and I found him. And it's the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm literally 7 months into losing my dad after caring for him after a traumatic incident, right? And the way that God has blessed me in these last 7 months and has not just opened doors, but opened floodgates for me is such an incredible, beautiful thing. But I am not that follower that judges anybody. This is, I tell people all the time because they're like, well, do you have people on your podcast that don't believe in the Lord? Well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
That's kind of silly to me, right? Because my job isn't to judge you. My job is to love you. My job is to love you wherever it is that you are in your life. And if you choose to follow the Lord, wonderful. If you don't, I'm still going to pray for you because that's who I am. We get so caught up in this. This is just how it's supposed to be. Well, telling a young girl something like that isn't going to make her be like, well, God dang, maybe I should start going to church and just be, that's not how we do
God
it.
sounds real good right now.
Yeah.
No, and also while I was pregnant, my son's dad, their family went to church. They went to a Baptist church, and I remember I wasn't showing yet, and I went to this church for the first time, and they like split you up to go do Bible study or something after service, and so I got sent to the women's group with his older sister. And there was this little blonde girl, and it was like time to talk about like what things are you having a hard time adjusting to and feel like you need to pray about. And this little blonde girl goes, I'm so tired of seeing all of these pregnant high schoolers and like who do they think they are and like just starts going off and I'm sitting here sweating and I'm like, oh dear God, get me out of this room.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a lot of judgment sometimes that I can't figure it out because more than likely that lady probably goes to church on Easter and Christmas. Like
I'm
when you
sure.
are going to church and you are following the Lord, Jesus did not judge people. Jesus washed people's feet. This is the Messiah we're talking about here. So if you're walking through a grocery store and you're trying to beat down a young girl who's already scared, she already doesn't know what's going to happen. She's already living like, what do you do? Like, man, my
Scraping
body's
quarters out of
changing.
my mom's car to feed the child. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't understand that stuff. Well, so now you've gone through different relationships after you and your son's father break up,
Mhm.
and those relationships were unhealthy as well.
Well, the second relationship after that, I ended up having my daughter, and that just he's a great human and we're really close to him even today. He raised my son. He still takes both his daughter and my son every other weekend. Like that's who his dad was. But it just wasn't a good match for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, when you're so, and then as you're going through until you meet your husband, were your children ever impacted by any of the relationships? I mean, like my brother has a daughter with his ex, and his ex has a daughter with another ex of hers now, but he still will take his one daughter plus my niece. He shows up at all of her, and that's not my niece's dad, my brother's her dad, but he still shows up to her dance recitals and to things that she has because he's just a quality person like that. So
yeah.
as you're moving through
and your children are attached to one person and it doesn't work out and then you move through, even though he stayed around, what was that adjustment period like?
Yeah, the oldest, he had a very hard time when I separated from
Her
what
dad. Her dad, your daughter's dad.
I'm like, what do we call this? Are we saying baby daddy number one and two and three? I don't even know. But yeah, when we separated, that was his dad that he was raised with, and he had a really hard time with it. And so he actually, how old was he at the time? Probably like 7, somewhere around that. And he would hit me on a regular basis, to where the point of my husband now, he came home for dinner. Me and my friend, we lived together at that time. And he walked in during dinner of him hitting me, and then my best friend trying to like pull my 7-year-old off of me. And he turns and starts like punching her. And so then my husband comes and takes him, and it was like, there's a new man in the house, and we're not going to be doing that. And he had to stop. My process of handling it at the time was, if you're going to act like this, I'm going to call your dad. He's going to come get you, because I'm not dealing with this and it's not fair to me. And so he was like, you got to stop doing that. He's doing this so that you will call his dad to come get him. And I'm like, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about as we transition through life and evolve, there's nothing wrong with anything truly that people are doing if they take a lesson from it.
Yeah, you're doing the best you can and making the best decisions you can in the moment.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't regret, saying, let me call this other safe person for you.
Right, right. Yeah, well, now you have 2 years ago been diagnosed with the functional neurological disorder. Tell me
Mhm.
a little bit about that. What made you even get tested for something like that? Were you having signs, symptoms? What was happening?
Yeah, my husband and I at the time were going through a lot. When, so this is, we were going through a lot, and we were on my dream vacation. We were in Costa Rica. I like to follow, we travel so I can see animals that I want to see. And at the time, I wanted to go to Costa Rica because I wanted to see the whale migration. There's a
Oh, very
particular
cool.
beach in Costa Rica where they go to give birth, and I wanted to be there. And we had been trying for a while to get there. And while we were there, we were going through a lot behind the scenes where we both individually hadn't voiced it yet, but we wanted to get a divorce pretty much when we got home. But while we were there, I started having seizure episodes. And the first one was while we were on a boat watching the whales. And throughout that whole trip, I had several seizures. And by the time we got home, I had one our first morning back into the States. And that's when he was like, no, we're going to the hospital. Like, something is wrong. And at the hospital, they run all the EEGs multiple times, the blood work. They made me do a spinal tap, like all the things. Everything's coming back normal. But yet they still diagnosed me with epilepsy,
Mhm.
which is part of the problem. You're having seizures, so let's throw Keppra on it. Keppra is a very serious drug. It really alters a whole lot of how you're able to show up and interact. And I was put on that medication for 8 months before finding a neurologist that actually would hear that this doesn't feel right. I'm a shell of a human right now. Like, something's not right. The medicine's not working. And he agreed to do a video EEG at home. So they put on the neuro cap, they set up a video camera, and they just watched me for it was like 3 days. And when I did have some seizures while they had that set up on me. And so I was like, okay, we're finally going to know like what it is and maybe get on the right medication. And I woke up one morning to a message from the neurologist saying, hey, not epilepsy, FND, find a psychiatrist. And that
Wow.
was how it was left.
So, Keppra, for people that don't know, is actually an anti-seizure medication. It's supposed to prevent seizures from happening. It's the same medication that my dad was on because of
Mm.
his brain injury. And he was on the lowest dose that they could put him on because the only seizure he ever had, I believed, happened because there was an undiagnosed UTI that went on for so long that my dad actually had E. coli in his system. That's the worst thing that happened when we were at Shirley Ryan. I mean, they are a state of the art, wonderful place. But when that happened, I thought, man, I was in nursing for like 8 years. How don't you know when somebody has a UTI, especially when he had a catheter at that point? So you're really able to see
Yeah,
output. Things look
right.
differently when it goes that far. So he was on a really low dose of it and he never had a seizure after that. When you were taking these tests or when you were taking the Keppra, were you still having seizures or was it just making you feel like you said like a shell of a person you weren't able to operate?
A little bit of both. So seizures had slowed down, but I was Keppra for me, how it affected me was, I mean, it like really took away all emotional sensation, I guess. And one of the things that was really hard for me is I always felt that I had a photographic memory. And
Mm.
once the seizure started and particularly the Keppra started, I couldn't even remember how to make macaroni like from the box. And I was useless.
Yeah. Wow, that's so fascinating to me because with my dad's brain injury, unfortunately, he also had aphasia. So
Mm.
like he couldn't his words would come out like alphabet soup. So unless it was automation, like good morning or how are you or I love you. So it's interesting how certain medications work for some people and they don't work for other people, but that's why I am so on it about really letting people know you have to advocate for yourself. You cannot just sit back and say, well, this is what the doctor said, it must be what it
Yeah.
is, and this is who I am now. I mean, you can't do that because, one of the things that used to piss me off the most is textbook answers from doctors.
Yeah.
Not everybody's situation is a textbook that you
Yeah.
can just go in your little doctor book and look it up. And then, the same thing that worked for Darcie's dad, Bill, is the same thing that works for Samantha Mandel. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Some
I was
people's
very,
situations
very
are
fortunate
different.
that my husband was like, I'm not taking this as an answer of just stay on meds and it's working, And so I was really fortunate that he was an advocate for that. And honestly, it ended up being fantastic for us. Not that I had to go through it and that, our life was altered like that for a while, but it brought us so much closer. Like, I mean, I had to rely on him and he chose to be there in all the ways that he could, all the while his side of the family was going through craziness that we couldn't have seen coming. So all of that happening at one time, and we were able to be there for each other.
I love that. A positive that comes out of something like that is just always such a, you can't regret the things because if you regretted it, you wouldn't feel happy and
Mhm.
safe where you are now. So, that's when we really get grounded in our healing, is when
Mhm.
it's like, well, I'm not really happy that it had happened. However, if it wouldn't have, I wouldn't be where I am now. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So now they're saying, go find yourself a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And Samantha says, what?
Yeah, it's very common. That is very common on how they give you the diagnosis and then they just wipe their hands clean of you and don't really want to see you again and there's nowhere to really go from it. And I was so devastated. I was so embarrassed. Like, how do you have seizures and like everyone has literally catered to you? And oh, sorry guys, I'm just crazy. But fortunately, I had started my podcast before I got the diagnosis. And we started it because I couldn't leave the house by myself because you can't drive when you're having seizures. And it was a really lonely and depressing time. And on top of that, when you're a mom for so long, I started in high school, so I never got to have the period that people usually have where you are discovering your own ideas of spirituality and your own identity and your own likes. And I was just at the point where it's like, what else do I have? I have nothing. I don't even have independence right now. And so we started the podcast. I started it with a friend. And the point was to, I want my mind to be expanded and I just want my mind to be blown and I just want to learn things. And as I learn things, maybe I'll have an opinion. And that's what happened. We just started dabbling and asking people a bunch of questions. And I mean, it just led to amazing people that taught me so much. And ultimately, through that, it just expanded the love that I'm able to give to not only myself, but other people. And it led to my career too. So,
I love that so much. So a complete identity shift because you didn't have the ability, like you said, when you're momming super early in life, you don't have the opportunity to even discover like who you are, what your likes are, what your desires are, because your
mhm.
main job is being a mom, which I don't care what anybody says, like parenting is the hardest thing in this entire world. And
Yeah.
okay, so side note, it doesn't get easier when they get older either. I always joke like with my siblings because my stepdaughter, my daughter, I call her Twink. She is 31. And I'm going to tell you what, when they are adults, parenting gets harder. You have no control over anything. You can't take their car away. You can't take their phone away. You can't tell them who they can date. You can't take you have nothing. It was heartbreaking watching her go through some of the things in her life, and I couldn't rescue her. I couldn't save her. There were so many nights that I would just be like, gosh, I just wish that she would see and remember who she is before it's too late, because that's the one thing we can't replace is time.
Yeah.
So now I'm the oldest of nine, and all of my siblings now have children or will be having one. And I like giggle when their children are doing little stupid things, and I'm like, oh, just wait until you can't do nothing about it, and you just gotta suck it up because it's hard when our kids grow up. But when you don't even have the chance to like grow up the way that maybe you could have, you have to have that identity shift at some point in your life.
Yeah. And I don't know where it begins, but for me, it was always trying to take care of everyone else in my life too. So conforming to what they want, what they like, what they need. And I don't think I ever noticed that until I had nothing that I realized was mine.
Yeah, that's a big moment.
Yeah.
That's a big moment, and it's a big step forward into what you're doing now. So, with the RTT practitioner, tell me a little bit about how you're working with people with that certification.
Mhm. Yeah, so it actually started out when I learned about it that I had this grand idea that I was going to get certified and then I was going to use what I learned to get into schools and help kids learn about their personalities and attachment styles and coping mechanisms because we see a lot of school shootings. And I think that it's because kids don't have that knowledge and way to handle what they're going through and people to talk to. And we had just had a big school shooting near where we live. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And I still think it's a great idea, but I also think it's a very ambitious idea. It's very hard to change a school system. And I don't think that that's anything that's going to happen anytime soon. But the more that I learned about the process of RTT and how it works, and the way it really can change. What am I trying to say? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. You were talking about is really hard to change the school system. And so RTT and the way that you learned about it and the way that you were able to help people with it?
Yeah, I realized that I spent a lot of time in therapy and trying to work through my seizures and the symptoms and the why behind them. And I realized, holy smokes, I just spent a year doing therapy, like normal chat therapy, when this probably would have resolved everything in a month. And I was
Wow.
like, why are we not doing this? Why do people not know about this? And I was like, this is the answer. So I got really good at it. And now I talk to as many women as I can with functional disorders and show them that they don't have to suffer with this the rest of their life and, you know, not be able to work and not be able to take care of their family. Like, we can do this process and you can get your identity back or a new identity, whatever you want.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite things about being an NLP practitioner too, is I'm not against therapy at all. I just, whatever works for you, I think is great. And I also believe at the same time that you can only talk about the same thing so many times before you actually have to do some work. Talking about the things is, to me, I had to leave a friendship in 2025. And she's been going to the same therapist for 5 years, and she's still in the same place.
Yeah.
And I said, either there's something wrong with the therapist that you're going to see, or you're not being completely open and candid about the things that are truly happening. So she's able to really, truly help you. But with NLP, with spiritual healing, with all of these different
You can't
coaches
not.
that I've been talking to, we're working with each other. We're working with each other. And when you put work into anything, you put work into pizza dough, it goes from being dough to a whole pizza. You put work into your body, it goes from one point to another. You put work into anything, a relationship, a friendship, an education, you're going to take it to a different level. So there's a lot of different practitioners out here that I just think it's such a wonderful, incredible, beautiful thing that we're out here working with people to actually get a result. It's really great to leave a therapist's office and you feel so good when you leave because you were able to vent and get things off
Mhm.
your chest. But then that's where it stops for a lot of people.
And I don't want
To
to replace
me,
them. Like, that is, I love that therapists do that, love doing that. That's not for me. I just want to fix the problem, the like physical problem. And then I want you to go back to your therapist and continue doing the work that you're already doing. And I'm actually having a really hard time right now with belonging into this space with
mm,
therapists and just the mental health realm. I feel like it's kind of scary to realize that there's other options that people can get help from.
yeah, well, it goes back to not judging, because the practitioners aren't trying to replace anybody.
Yeah,
What like I'm doing, I'm not saying, well, come to me and you'll never see a therapist again.
right.
No, that's not what it is. And I think that because I will be very open with this. I had one of my followers, and if she watches this episode, we're all good. But she did come at me real hot
Yeah.
because she is a therapist. And she said, I'm just going to let you know that it kind of pisses me off that you're out here doing what you're doing, and it feels like it takes away from the work that I put into what I'm doing. And my response back to her was, what makes you think that I didn't put any work into what it is that I'm doing?
Yeah.
That's a little bit offensive at me. I took and spent 120 hours in a week learning,
Mhm.
practicing, doing the things that I need to do. There's always a disclaimer. I can't work with
Yeah.
you if if you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you have suicidal tendencies. I can refer you to somebody that can help you, and I can help you with anxious thoughts. But anything else that goes deeper than that, you have to go and see a medical professional. You'll hear that if you've ever listened to one of my podcasts, I have a medical claim that tells you these conversations that we have on here are not designed to replace modern day medicine and modern day therapy, but it's another alternative. That's kind of like people saying, can you believe that there's like a keto diet and carnivore diet and vegan and,
Which one
no
works?
carb? It's like there's so many alternatives that can help. Not everybody wants to go to a therapist. Now, one of the people that I'm about to see, one of my clients, is coming in for the first time next weekend because she's fired 14 therapists. She has said they want to be friends with me. They want the tea. They want to hear what's going
Yeah.
on. And then I'm sitting there going, well, what the hell are you doing for me? You heard everything and you just say what? Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I love my first therapist, but that's why I had to leave because I mean, it got to the point where she's showing up with popcorn because my life is so crazy. And then I'm just catching her up, and it's like, I'm paying a friend. This isn't what I need.
Yes. And I'm so happy that we have these real conversations like that because that is going to hit for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong as a client of a therapist. It just
Or that they're
means
doing anything wrong as a therapist. It just means that the relationship has gotten too close and
too
too tight
close.
that it's time to, you're not getting anything out of it anymore. And it's just time to see another one.
Yeah, and I like to think of it as a plateau. It's kind of like when you're working out. Eventually,
Yeah.
you're like, man, my muscles don't feel as worked as they did before. Up at 5 pounds, and I bet you they will.
Yeah.
Walk a mile farther and I bet you you're going to feel it. Run a little bit quicker and I bet you you're going to feel it. It's a plateau. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
not bad client, bad therapist. This is what happens. A friendship starts to form. There's not a line that's drawn in the sand, and a lot of lines are being crossed of, well, now we're just kind of hanging out. 14 therapists being fired from one person because she's desperately seeking help is now coming over to me to have NLP done so I can do a swish method with her and set an anchor for her. When I was on her podcast, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you just said everything that I've been asking and craving for. I need a thing that I can do. I need something that I can do. I can help her set an anchor." Where she's feeling a certain emotion, she fires it off and she feels all regenerated again. We can swish where she is now into the woman she wants to see her as and swish those back and forth until she doesn't even see the woman that she thinks that she currently is. This is different things that we're able to do to work with you, and I'm so happy that we just had that conversation because I think a lot of practitioners get like a bad rap. Like I said, that message that came through, it was a little bit insulting, but I didn't get like, oh, all uppity about it because I'm confident in what it is that I'm doing for other people. Maybe she's not as confident as what she's doing with other people as a therapist. That's what's got her undies all in a bundle about what I'm doing. But if we could just collaboratively work together. Geez, Samantha, it seems like we've been meeting now for about 2 years. I don't know if this is working for you, but I can refer you out. Maybe you should try this. We shouldn't be just doing this for money.
Right.
We should be doing this because we want a better world. We want people to be happy and feel safe and grounded in their healing. That's what I'm doing here with the podcast.
Yeah.
If anybody listens to a lot of the beginning part of this is the place we come to get unstuck from trauma and grounded in healing. Because when you're grounded in healing, the world looks differently, but you can't get grounded if you're not given the right tools.
Yeah. But and it never stops. Um, I mean, I could tell you how amazing life became after the functional neurological disorder. But, right now the heaviest thing that's on me is how horrible I was treated by this group of therapists and psychiatrists to where like just this week I'm sitting here, what am I doing? Like so knocked down and trying to figure out what's my next step. So it's nice to hear that I'm not the only practitioner out there that's like getting knocked down and you can keep moving forward. But that's what life is. You get knocked down and you get back up again.
Well, and the thing is, you're pretty new to being grounded in your healing.
Yeah.
And I can tell that. I can tell you're still 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You're not both feet in yet. So I'm not going to NLP you, Samantha, but I can tell these things rather quickly. And it's a beautiful thing because when your other foot steps in, you're not going to care what other people are saying about what you're doing because you're so grounded in what you're doing. Other people's opinions of you do not matter. They do not matter at all. I promise you that. And when you can get that other foot to say, you know what? I'm confident with who I am and I'm confident with what it is that I'm doing and what I bring to the table. That's their problem. They can have their opinion of me and what it is that I'm doing. That doesn't even impact me. A lot of people have all kinds of opinions about what I've done in my life. Maybe I should have let my dad die. Maybe why did I let him live with a brain injury? I was the one who had to make that decision. I don't care what people think about that. I know what we walked through in the 6 years that I had with my dad. That's me. I don't care what people think about my faith. I am very open about my walk with God. That's my job as a disciple, as a daughter of the Father, is to talk to people about it. Like I said when we were talking, my job's not to judge people, it's to love people. What they got going on, I don't have room for it. My container is sparkly, it is warm, it is comforting, and I'm not letting anything bad into it. Like we teach people how to treat us by what we allow. And we can't always control our circumstance, but we can always control how we react and how we respond. So I would encourage you that when somebody is doing the, little chihuahua yipping thing at you about what it is you're doing, kind of brush it off because you're obviously making a wave and for them to have to say something about it, right? You're obviously doing something where they're like, oh, well, look at what she's doing. Well, maybe you should take a look at what she's doing because I don't care about what's going on over here. But when you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out because you're new to it, that's not you're doing anything wrong. Everybody's 1 foot in and 1 foot out when they first are starting to get grounded and healing, right? That's good on you that you at least have 1 foot into it. Now, the rest of it is just mentally being able to work on that aspect of getting your second foot into the grounding. So, honestly, when you get here, you don't care about what other people are thinking. It's not going to stop your dreams. It's not going to stop your goals. You're doing beautiful work. Anything where somebody is helping somebody else is a beautiful thing. So don't let anybody steal your sunshine. Don't let anybody steal your hope, your goal orientation, and what you're doing. Because if you stop for a second and if you think back to where you have been, what you've had to walk through, what you have shared, even just here today in the podcast, you're a baddie and you're strong and you're deserving of having all of the things that you have right now. Don't give power to anybody to steal that work from you. You've put in work to get to where you are now. So don't let anybody steal that from you. They don't deserve that. And if it's somebody who's close to you, they're here for a season. Let them go. Let them go. I've had to leave a friendship in last year. I've had to cut ties with one of my brothers recently. I'm not having confetti blow out of my butt about it. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not letting darkness in my container. So if people can't support, love, even like, accept, or be quiet about what it is that I have going on in my life, we were all taught if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Where the hell did that theory go?
Social media.
Yeah. Well, because everybody's a bunch of grown bullies on social media, but come on into my office and let's have a conversation about how you feel about it, George. Maybe we can get you to a different place.
Yeah, I feel like you need like a mic drop right now. I feel like you just dropped like some bombs.
It's all my faith and what I've walked through that I'm not allowing. My job now is to help other people, but it is continue to serve myself, protect my peace at all cost. Because I am 46 years old and I did not start my healing journey until I was 45. My life has been hard. It has been hard. Getting here is a place I want to live forever. I am never giving power back to anybody to steal the work that I put in to get here. The joy that I feel right now, being able to meet people like you, have these discussions, see other women out here that are just beautiful, stunning, hopeful, radiant people changing the world shoulder to shoulder with me. I'm not letting negative stuff in, but that's my control. You know, I'm so grounded in my healing. I don't care who it is that comes over here, unless if it's Jesus himself that says, Darcie, you need to change what it is that you're doing. I know what I'm doing and I'm happy with it, what I'm doing, and I let people move on. And I strongly encourage man or woman to do the same. If you are happy and you are safe and you are not harming other people, you are in fact helping other people. Don't worry about what other people think about it. It's just an opinion. That's it. You know, and then we do this comparing thing. We're comparing ourselves to people. A comparison is another thief of joy. You know, just don't allow yourself that, because when you do that, you're really telling yourself that maybe I didn't make the right steps to start working on myself. Maybe I'm not deserving of it. Maybe other people, you know, should be helping these people and not me because I'm not good enough. You're good enough. You are good enough because you are here in this moment right now doing what you're doing with your RT team, with your Skirts Up podcast. You're changing lives. Even if it's one person's life, one is bigger than zero.
And the
One
podcast
is bigger.
has changed not only my life, but someone else's too. So
See, I mean, and that's where you just keep your focus. That's what I would encourage you to do. Just stay focused on all of the good, because when you let negative seep in, even one negative opinion, it can start to turn dark real quick, like you're experiencing this week.
yeah.
See? So when you say you hear that, your radar goes off and you process it for a moment, give yourself a moment, delete. Just like on social media, delete, scroll. You know, we don't have to comment on, we don't have to give everybody a reaction and a response. You choose to do that. You choose to do that. So it's just about making the choices that you need to make to stay as grounded where you are, so you can bring that second foot into grounding. And when you are standing totally in your grounding, nobody's going to shake your foundation. It's going to feel so good. A year from now, you're going to be like, woo, that crazy lady that I talked to on the School of Hard Knocks. She was so right, because I am grounded. I love it. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you for opening up and sharing all of this with me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, School of Hard Knocks, you know what to do. Go and find Samantha Mandel, Instagram, Facebook, theskirtsupshow.com. You can also find her at sweetsoulandwellness.com. Like, love, follow, share, support, all of the things, because there's more than enough room at the top of this mountain for all of us. And as always, when you are walking with the Lord, healing is always possible. I'll see you guys in the next episode. I'd like to thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I'm so proud of you for stepping into your healing journey. Please share this with every single person that you know. I'm here to make the biggest impact possible, and I can only do that with you by my side. I hope you hit that follow button and you save me to your library so you never miss an episode. We just took another break out of your wall, and remember, with God, healing is always possible. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.